Okay, hello everyone, welcome to today's video. In this lesson, we're gonna be talking about Gaussian elimination, how to transform a matrix into echelon form, and solve it step by step. So what is a Gaussian elimination? It is a system that we're using to transform a matrix into echelon form or reduced echelon form by using row operations. If you guys are not familiar with the row operations or echelon form yet, just check out the links in the description. I've got separate videos breaking those down for you. Before we start solving, I just wanted to show you guys the possible outcomes we can get. So there's three case scenarios of what might happen. The first, the first is we get one single solution. And that happens when we get a matrix like this in a echelon form. Oops. Okay. As we can see, each line has a pivot number. Therefore, we have solution for every variable. The next case scenario, the next case scenario is infinitely many solutions. So this happens when we get one or more rows of all zeros and there is not enough pivot numbers for all variables. Okay, so let's take a look at this matrix. This is an all zero row, and in this case we would have infinitely many solutions. But let's take a look at another example. In this matrix, despite the fact that we have a row of all zeros, we will have a single solution. That's because we have enough pivot numbers for every variable, right? So here is x and here is y. We're gonna use this equation to solve for y, and then we're gonna use this equation to solve for x. It doesn't matter what's going on in this one. Okay, and the third scenario of the third outcome we can get is no solution at all. So this happens when we get a contradiction. Let's take a look at this matrix. You see, in this row, it says that 0 equals 3, which is not true. When we get a contradiction like this, it means there is no solution for the system. Okay, and those are the only three outcomes we can get from solving matrices. And now let's get started with actually solving them. Okay, so let's take a look at this matrix. Yeah, so we're just gonna first we have to write it in the augmented matrix form. So the first step we need to do is we need to get the first pivot number in the first row. We need to get it as 1. In this case, it is 1 already, so we're going to go to the step 2. The step 2 would be getting zeros underneath that pivot number. So in order for us to get the 0 in row 2, we have to subtract row 1 multiplied by 2 from row 2. So it's going to look like this. And in order for us to get 0 in row 3, we have to add row 3 to we have to add row 1 multiplied by 3 to row 3. Okay, and this is going to be okay, awesome. So the next step would be getting 1 as a pivot number in row 2. For that, we just have to divide row 2 by -3. Sorry, row 2. Awesome. And after that, we're just going to get 0 number underneath this pivot number. So I have to get 0 here. To do that, we're just going to subtract row 2 from row 3. Awesome. So this is what we get. And then we're just going to divide row 3 by 6 just to get a pivot number as 1. Awesome. So this is it. We got this augmented matrix transformed into echelon form. We don't really need to transform it into reduced echelon form unless you're asked to do so. And let's just solve, let's just solve for each variable. So z will be 11 over 9, y will be So y will be 8 over 9. And now let's just solve for x. Okay, so this is it. Those are our solutions. And we're just gonna write it like this to keep it nice and clean. Okay, and this is the answer for this equation. Let's take a look at another equation. We're gonna turn this system into augmented matrix. Perfect. And the next step would be getting 0 numbers below the pivot number in column 1. So we're gonna subtract column 1 from column 2. And we're gonna do the same with the column 3. Oh, sorry, with the row 3. And then let's get a 0 number over here below this pivot number. Okay, as you guys see, we get a contradiction here because 0 cannot equal 3. Therefore, this system has no solution. This is it for this lesson. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.